Well, I think it was the competition of trying to be as good as the next guy. I felt that I had a lot of setbacks in my life. I had trouble with the families and divorce. I had a problem with a muscle in my face, which made it hard to speak. So it's always been trying to be better. So I was very thin. That's why I started exercising. And I would say that the most important things were I would spend a great deal of time by myself, and I felt that if I learned myself better, then I would be able to be more of an artist and more of a performer. So I think the most important memories were the memories of how to deal with failure and not make the same mistake twice. I was a terrible student. I was very, very crazy. So I would be thrown out of many, many schools, and I would chase many girls, and I was just, last thing I wanted to do was look in a book. So I was always in trouble with the authorities all my life. And I guess that was one of my fondest memories, is just running away from people all the time. Always seemed to be running. And I would say a real turning point is when I went to Switzerland. I got a scholarship to teach boxing and athletics. And while I was in Switzerland, I was exposed to very, very wealthy people. And I didn't have much money, so by the end of the year, they were all corrupted. It was wonderful. Well, first of all, you have to be very, very realistic. You have to know what your strengths are, but most important, you have to know what your weaknesses are. And you work on your weaknesses. You're already strong in one area, so if you're weak in acting and certain dialogue, you practice your dialogue. If you're a painter and you're not very good at a certain style, you work on that style and you develop so you're well-rounded. I think the key to my success has been that I learned how to write and act together. So when I failed as an actor, I could fall back on a writer. In other words, you have to prepare yourself constantly for disaster. So when disaster comes, you're ready and you can rise above it. I remember everyone used to stay around the pool getting suntans, and I'd be inside writing. I was always white, they were always dark, but in the end, their tans went away, and the studying paid off, the success. So it's constant working, and you have to sacrifice. There is no, as they say, no gain without pain. You have to sacrifice a little bit to get ahead, otherwise it's just not worth it. America likes a certain kind of story, and they like people coming from very humble beginnings to succeed. And I think America tends to be very theatrical and very flamboyant. I think in other countries it would be much more difficult. Not impossible, just a little bit more difficult. I may, instead of use boxing, I may have had to do a different kind of scene. Just like in France, you have many, many famous actors, but they do different stories that are important to that culture. Some days you wake up, you really like yourself. Some days you just wake up, you hate yourself. I don't know why. I think it's been difficult because I'm not a natural. I've had to create it. It's like every day working at it. I'm still working at it 30 years later. So sometimes I envy the people that are born natural, you know. There's a satisfaction in knowing that you work very hard to achieve a certain goal, and that is I enjoy that a great deal. And I think the fact that like I said earlier, it was hard to come by, very difficult because of the face and being thin and everything else, is that the success means much more. I really think that it's very enjoyable to have to climb the mountain. It hurts, but when you get up there, you go, oh, right. Well, the money, the success, living well, that comes with success. But that isn't the real success. The real success is knowing that when everyone said you were wrong, you were right. So that's what Rocky has been the most rewarding, is that it never should have happened. It was an accident. It was a failure. And, it just never should, and it did. So it's possible. Like if I came to you and said that an unknown actor is going to write a movie and it's going to make all that money and win an Oscar, you said he's crazy. But you see, it can't happen. And that's the reward. It's never, that was the high point. It's never been that high. That was the set. Yes. Yeah. I believe that in movies, you've got to depend on many, many people. It's not like an artist who's painting a picture one-on-one. But you have to have a real concept. The movies that I've done that I did not like, I let get away from me. I did not pay attention. So now I really have strong opinions about what's going to work and what's not going to work. I mean, you really know what's best for yourself. It's like you know what looks good on you, and you know when you're acting what is good for you and good for the movie. So, yeah, I have some very strong opinions about that. Mine? Oh, God. Well, we take about an hour to tell you all these things. I'd say my one is I'm very restless. I feel as though I'm not doing enough, or there's not enough time. So it's a very dangerous syndrome. When you think you're not working enough, you tend to overwork, and then when you overwork, you get tired, and then you start to hate the work. So it's a vicious cycle. I'd say my biggest problem is learning how to be a little bit more calm and relax and look at things peacefully. Also, I tend to get very aggressive when I work. Not violent, but just, like in Rambo, when I start doing Rambo, everyone leaves. Everyone leaves the house, the dogs run away, no one wants to talk to me because I have 6 months. It definitely helps. It definitely helps. But, if you picture in your mind, when I'm training, I'm thinking about the movie. So I'm getting more, actually, it makes me more aggressive because, all you do is box. And if you keep punching and boxing and training like a boxer, you begin to think like a boxer, which makes you a little bit too much aggressive. What I should do is learn how to swim and, yoga. Unfortunately, all the sports I do are aggressive sports, so they make you want to challenge and compete. Actually, I used to do interviews in a t-shirt and looking very pumped up and strong. And then I thought that what happened is people tend to get sick of it. It's like a woman walking around in her underwear all the time. You go, okay, it's sexy, but can I see you with some clothes on for a change? So I think that I try to balance it out a little bit. But if you like,